Hi, welcome back. The objective for this module is for us to learn how to apply the principles of zero trust security when preparing to implement Microsoft Copilot. We will learn how to deploy or validate your security measures such as data protection, identity and access, app protection policies, device management protection, threat protection services, and secure collaboration for Microsoft Teams. Let's start by understanding what zero trust is. It is an approach in designing IT systems. The core principles are verify explicitly, meaning always authenticate and authorize based on all available data points. Enforce the validation of user credentials, device requirements, and app permissions. Use least privilege access by limiting user access via just-in-time or just-enough access policies. Validate just-enough access policies across your organization to eliminate oversharing. Use sensitivity labels and data loss prevention policies to safeguard data. Assume breach. Use services like MS Defender XDR services to automatically prevent common attacks and detect and respond to security incidents. There are two main offerings we really need to understand. Microsoft Copilot is available for free, which can return data from the public web. It doesn't have access to organizational resources or content within M365, which means that it won't access data from documents in OneDrive, emails, or other organizational data. Microsoft 365 Copilot, on the other hand, is integrated into M365's suite of products, including Word, Teams, Outlook, Excel, and so on. It is primarily designed for business contexts and uses an organization's data that's stored in the M365 ecosystem. It should be noted that Microsoft's set of Copilots are built on top of existing platforms, meaning that there's an inheritance or protections applied to those platforms. Based on your setup, you should take the appropriate steps for your Copilot configuration. If your organization is without Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses, then the Work Web toggle is not available and Edge summarization is disabled. The data that is going to be accessible is only internet data. So the zero trust recommendation is nothing is required, but general security hygiene is highly recommended. Without Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses, when the Work Web toggle is not available and Edge summarization is enabled, the data that is going to be accessible is internet data, organization data on local intranet, and cloud locations. So the zero trust recommendations here is to apply zero trust protections, manage devices with Intune, and apply application management and mobile device management policies, and data loss prevention policies. With Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses, Work Web toggle available, and Edge summarization disabled, the data that's going to be accessible is Microsoft tenant data and internet data if the web plugin is enabled. Data for Copilot-enabled plugins and connectors. The zero trust recommendations here is to apply zero trust protections with Microsoft 365 licenses where the work and web toggles are available and Edge summarization is enabled. The data that's going to be accessible here is the M365 tenant data and internet data if the web plugin is enabled. Data for Copilot-enabled plugins and connectors, organization data is accessible via Edge browser pages. So the zero trust recommendation here is to apply zero trust protections, manage devices with MAM and MDM policies, and apply DLP policies. To prevent oversharing, you should prevent the data from being at risk of overexposure. To do this, you should ensure that your data is categorized with sensitivity labels that the system automatically applies or that users apply manually. Further, strengthen your data security using data classification, auditing, e-discovery, and more. Provide guidance to users on how to apply labels as well. Let's take a look at a quick demo. When you want to apply data loss prevention policies, let's follow this approach. You can come in here to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, click on Compliance. This will take you to Microsoft Purview. So let's go there. And from this portal, you can click on the solutions and you can come here and click on data loss prevention. A simple way to set something up is to go to policies. And you'll see that there's already some custom policies in place, but you can add an additional policy for your use case. Let's just say it's in the medical and health field. And I'm just going to pick one of these. You can change the description and name according to your needs. You can determine which admins you'd like to assign this policy to and where it should be applied. So it could be applied in your most common applications like OneDrive, SharePoint sites, Exchange, email accounts, and things like that. So once that's done, you can edit things if you need to. You can take some protection actions, right? You can send email notifications if there's a detection of sensitive information being shared. And it can be sent out by email if these rules are detected. And there's some override settings that you can also take a look at. So that's a little bit about how to set up a data loss prevention policy. There are always bad actors. And I don't mean the actors from bad rom-coms. There are many individual and state-sponsored parties who might try to compromise your users' identities to prevent those bad actors from gaining access to your Copilot or your sensitive data. Make sure you require the use of strong authentication. Via multi-factor authentication, use conditional access policies, especially when sign-ins are deemed high or medium risk. Let's take a look at a quick demo. So let's take a look at identity management. So to do this, from your Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you can go to the Identity Admin Center. This takes you, I just have to sign in. This will take you to the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. And you can see here that you have various options in terms of how you want to protect the identities of your users. So let's take a look at a few of them. So one of the first things you want to check out is identity governance. So if you want people to constantly be able to reaffirm that they need a particular access to certain services, you can set up access reviews. You come in here, you can select what you want to review, whether it's applications, teams, groups. So we can take a look at the types of applications that one needs to get access to. Maybe we set it up for guest users and set up reviews. And maybe we can set up reviews based on managers and users or selected users. And we can review it every quarter. And that's an easy way to set that up. Now, let's take a look at some protection settings that are available. So you can take a look at identity protection. And here you can see that you can set up different kinds of policies. You can set up a multi-factor authentication registration policy. So you can enable it for all users or for select users based on your organization's needs. So you can enforce that. You can also set up different policies based on user risk. So based on a user that is medium risk, you can specify that they get blocked access. You can take a look at conditional access as well and set up new policies. So you can give it a name for a particular policy, and you can come in and specify what kind of users fall under that policy. So you can specify the type of users, and then you can specify what the conditions are, right? So maybe you configure based on user risk, sign-in risk, or particular apps. So you can configure it based on your needs. And this gives you a much more customized approach in dealing with particular conditions. And then you can decide to block or grant access, right? So if you want to grant access, maybe you say this type of user requires multi-factor authentication and also require their device to be marked as compliant. So it's even safer. Intune's app protection solution protects against data leakage. It provides rules to ensure that data remains safe and within a managed app. They allow you to control how apps on mobile devices access and share data, even when a device isn't managed, and disallow things like copy and paste to other apps on the device. There are 3 levels of app protection policies. Level 1, Enterprise Basic Data Protection. This provides minimum protection for enterprise devices. Level 2, Enterprise Enhanced Data Protection. This provides protections for devices accessing sensitive or confidential information. Level 3, Enterprise High Data Protection, for devices accessed by high-risk users or organizations with more sophisticated security needs. Some of the benefits of using Intune app protection policies are that it protects company data at the app level. Protection is applied on user identity, not requiring device management. It protects company data without touching personal data, ensuring end user productivity as policies don't affect personal use. It provides app layer protections, controls data sharing between apps, prevents saving data to personal storage, and requires PIN or fingerprint for work-related app access. In the current state of hybrid and remote work, most companies have numerous devices that are connected to the company's network to access data. These are called endpoints. Since there are many different options accessing data, endpoints can often become the weakest link in an organization's zero-trust security strategy. You have to monitor all the endpoints and employ granular access controls. The 7 steps to achieve a zero-trust security posture are the following. Turn on MFA and configure Intune app protections. Enroll devices into management. Configure compliance policies. Configure recommended zero-trust identity and device access policies. Deploy Intune configuration profiles to harden devices against threats. Monitor device risk and compliance of devices to security baselines. And finally, label and set up DLP policies to protect endpoint devices and their sensitive data. Let's take a look at a demo. When you want to manage your devices from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you can go to Microsoft Intune. Once you're in Intune, you should be able to go to Devices and set up policies for enrollment. You can set up your MDM user scope. Also able to come in and set conditional access policies for your devices. You can set it based on user or a particular group. And you can set your conditions based on user risk, sign-in risk, among other parameters. You can also configure your endpoint security here. You can come and click on Microsoft Defender for Endpoint and turn on endpoint for your devices. And you can configure it according to your needs. Let's take a look at the different Microsoft 365 threat protection services that are available. Microsoft Entra ID Protection, which safeguards user identities and credentials. Microsoft Defender for Office 365. It shields email and collaboration platforms from phishing, malware, ransomware, and other threats. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint defends endpoints against malware, exploits, and other attacks. Microsoft Defender for Identity secures on-premises Active Directory from identity-based attacks. Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps protects cloud applications and data from unauthorized access and data loss. The Microsoft 365 E3 offering has Microsoft Defender for Office 365 P1, which provides Exchange online protection with anti-spam, anti-malware, and anti-phishing configurations. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint P1 offers real-time protection against emerging threats with features like Microsoft Defender Antivirus and attack surface reduction. Windows 10 and 11 offers various client protection capabilities, including Windows Hello, Microsoft Defender Firewall, Microsoft Defender, Smart Screen, BitLocker, and Microsoft Defender Application Guard for Microsoft Edge. And the Microsoft 365 E5 includes Microsoft Defender for Identity, Microsoft Defender for Office 365 P2, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint P2, Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. Also consider to integrate with Microsoft Sentinel. After deploying Microsoft Defender XDR, consider integrating these tools with Microsoft Sentinel for advanced threat detection and response. And these are licensed separately from Microsoft 365 E5. Secure collaboration is key in Microsoft Teams. There are different tiers to prevent oversharing and reduce the chances of potential information leakage. The settings can be configured as public, unauthenticated sharing, guest sharing, and unmanaged devices, with each setting having different baselines and considerations for what is deemed sensitive versus highly sensitive. Some other products to consider when thinking about secure collaboration: MS Defender for Office 365 offers safe attachments for SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. SharePoint offers site and file sharing policies, sharing links and access requests. Microsoft Teams offers guest access, private teams, private channels, and shared channels. MS Purview offers sensitivity labels. Let's take a look at a quick demo. What is just enough access? Just enough access, JEA, means providing users with the least permissions necessary to perform their jobs, limiting the chance of data breaches and unauthorized access. Key concepts of JEA include users should only access data necessary for their job functions. Permissions should be regularly reviewed and updated on changing roles and responsibilities. Implementing granular access controls to minimize the spread of sensitive information. How do we detect oversharing? To maintain a secure environment, it's essential to detect and rectify instances of oversharing at the file, site, team, and container levels. At the file level, use Microsoft Purview information protection to identify and manage sensitive data. At the site, team, and container level, audit and enforce access restrictions. Utilize SharePoint Advanced Management to identify potential oversharing. Some best practices for maintaining minimum user permissions are regular reviews and audits. Schedule periodic access reviews to verify appropriate permissions. Clear documentation and communication. Maintain comprehensive documentation of access policies and procedures. Promptly communicate policy changes to users. Implement role-based access control, RBAC. It simplifies permissions management by assigning users to roles rather than managing individual permissions. In this module, we went over how to apply Zero Trust principles to Microsoft Copilots. We learned how we can deploy or validate our data protection, identity and access, app protection policies, device management, and provide the right user permissions to data. See you in the next module.